This animal was already alive before the light bulb existed, before the United States was founded. Before calculus had even been formally invented as a branch of mathematics, it's still alive right now, drifting at the bottom of the ocean. This isn't some microscopic organism that technically survives for centuries because it barely qualifies as alive. This is a massive apex predator shark. And it's blind, it moves slower than almost anything else in the ocean, and it's somehow still impossible to kill. This is the Greenland shark. And once you understand exactly what's happening inside its body, you'll realize it might be the strangest apex predator on the entire planet. Look closely at a Greenland shark's eyes and you'll notice something dangling off each one. A strange, pale, stringy growth that looks almost organic, but isn't actually part of the shark's body at all. It's a parasite. Greenland sharks aren't born blind. Their eyes function perfectly at birth, but nearly every single adult specimen ever examined has been infected by a specific parasite called Amatocoita elongata, which attaches directly to the cornea and slowly consumes the shark's vision entirely. Current estimates suggest 95 to 100% of adult Greenland sharks carry this exact parasite on both eyes, rendering essentially the entire species functionally blind by adulthood. Strangely, this doesn't appear to bother the shark at all. There's no behavioral evidence the parasite causes pain significant enough to affect survival, and losing vision matters considerably less when you live permanently at the bottom of a lightless ocean anyway. What's actually unusual here isn't blindness itself that's common in deep-sea life. It's the mechanism. Most deep-sea animals lose functional vision gradually over millions of years of evolution once eyesight stops mattering. The Greenland shark keeps fully developed, functional eyes at birth, only to have every single individual lose them to the exact same parasite shortly after. It's not evolutionary atrophy. It's a near universal infection happening to every member of the species, generation after generation. Here's the part that makes no sense on paper. This shark moves at roughly 1 mile per hour. It's blind, it's soft-bodied. A great white or an orca could tear it apart in seconds without any real effort. Nothing does. The Greenland shark tastes genuinely toxic. Not unpleasant in the normal sense, raw meat can be unpleasant, chemically dangerous. These sharks live in water hovering near freezing, and their bodies evolved a specific defense against their own blood crystallizing into ice. Their tissue is saturated with extremely high concentrations of urea and trimethylamine oxide, essentially a built-in biological antifreeze that doubles as a neurotoxin. If a human eats this shark's meat raw, the result is a documented condition literally called shark drunk, loss of balance, slurred speech, and in severe cases, death. Icelandic communities eventually developed a traditional preparation called hakarl, where the shark is buried underground for months, then hung to dry for additional months, slowly breaking down enough of the toxin to make it barely survivable to eat. The result reportedly smells close to concentrated ammonia. Beyond the toxicity, depth itself provides protection. Most surface predators simply never encounter it. In the rare occasion an orca genuinely intelligent enough to recognize a problem does bite into one, it spits it back out immediately. No predators, no real threats, just a slow drifting shark with parasites hanging from both eyes. So what does an animal this slow and blind actually manage to hunt? Researchers examining Greenland shark stomach contents have found things that genuinely shouldn't be there. Fast-moving Arctic char, giant squid, entire seals, a reindeer, and in one documented case, a polar bear. Obviously, this shark isn't winning a foot race against a seal, and it's definitely not wrestling a polar bear on solid ice. The leading theory is that it doesn't chase prey at all. It haunts it. Because the Greenland shark moves so impossibly slowly, it generates almost zero pressure displacement in the water. The exact warning signal most prey animals rely on to detect an approaching predator. It can drift to within inches of a sleeping seal, completely undetected, then create a sudden, massive suction vacuum by rapidly expanding its mouth, inhaling the prey before it ever registers a threat existed. Realistically though, a significant portion of its diet is straightforward scavenging, locating already dead animals on the seafloor using smell alone. The polar bear, the reindeer. Likely most of the seals, these were almost certainly already dead, having drowned or died elsewhere before drifting directly into the shark's path. Either way, this entire hunting and feeding strategy burns almost no energy whatsoever. And that single fact is the actual key to why this animal refuses to die. Whether actively hunting or passively scavenging, the Greenland shark's metabolism runs so low that its tissue barely ages at all. It grows at a rate of roughly 1 centimeter per year. 1. A 15-foot Greenland shark has been continuously growing since before the American Civil War. But how do scientists actually confirm an age like that? Sharks don't have ear bones with visible growth rings the way trees or some fish do. Their skeletons are made entirely of cartilage, which provides no reliable aging record at all. For a long time, age estimates were essentially educated guesswork. Then researchers found an answer hidden inside those same parasite-covered eyes. The nucleus of a shark's eye lens forms before birth and never changes afterward, a permanent biological time capsule. Using radiocarbon dating, scientists analyzed lens proteins from 28 female sharks, specifically searching for a carbon isotope signature left behind by nuclear bomb testing conducted in the 1950s. If that signature was present, the shark was born after that decade. If absent, the shark was unquestionably older, and the remaining carbon, one for decay, could be measured to estimate exactly how much older. The results suggest most Greenland sharks live close to 400 years, with upper estimates exceeding 500. Somewhere in the ocean right now is a shark that was already alive before World War I, before World War II, potentially before the founding of the United States itself. Living in slow motion comes with an equally extreme cost, maturing in slow motion too. Greenland sharks don't reach sexual maturity until approximately 150 years old. A shark born in 1870 would only just now be reaching reproductive maturity. This shouldn't work as an evolutionary strategy at all. An animal this slow to reproduce should be wiped out by basic biological math alone, and that math gets considerably worse once you factor in cancer risk. Cancer is essentially a numbers game. Larger bodies, longer lifespans, and more total cell divisions all increase the statistical odds that something eventually goes wrong at the cellular level. An animal living 500 years should be riddled with tumors by any reasonable expectation. Scientists have found almost no evidence of cancer in these sharks whatsoever. They appear to possess unusually efficient tumor suppressor genes, capable of repairing DNA damage at a rate far exceeding almost any other vertebrate studied. This single biological trait is likely the entire reason this species can afford to wait a century and a half before reproducing at all. The trade-off is brutal, though a population this slow to mature cannot recover quickly from any disruption. If commercial fishing accidentally kills off a regional group as bycatch, which happens more frequently than most people realize, that population doesn't bounce back in years. It potentially doesn't recover for centuries. Relative to its enormous body size, the Greenland shark's brain is surprisingly small. But it isn't unintelligent in any meaningful sense. It simply doesn't require the processing complexity that highly social animals like orcas need for coordinated group behavior. Almost the entire brain is dedicated to a single sense smell. The olfactory bulb is disproportionately massive, essentially making this animal a giant swimming nose attached to a slowly drifting stomach, capable of detecting decaying carrion from remarkable distances in total darkness. There's also a genuinely unproven but fascinating theory regarding those eye parasites. Some researchers suspect the relationship may not be purely parasitic at all, but potentially mutualistic. If Omatocoita elongata is bioluminescent, something not yet fully confirmed, the dangling parasite attached to an already useless eye could function as a glowing lure in total darkness, attracting curious smaller fish close enough for the shark to capture. The shark gets fed, the parasite gets transported and fed in return. Unproven, but if accurate, this isn't simply a blind creature drifting alone in the abyss. Is potentially hunting in quiet partnership with the very organism that blinded it. For years, scientists assumed Greenland sharks were exclusively Arctic animals, creatures of the ice, confined to a narrow polar range, which made the slow reproduction problem even more concerning since a small, contained population is far easier to accidentally wipe out through fishing activity. That assumption recently collapsed entirely. A research vessel conducting a deep-sea survey in the tropical Caribbean, far from any ice, recorded a large, slow-moving gray shape drifting past a coral reef at extreme depth. It turns out the deep ocean stays cold virtually everywhere on the planet, meaning these sharks can use the abyss itself as a global highway, likely currently present off the coasts of Florida, South America, and West Africa simultaneously. Here's the part worth sitting with. Because this animal is blind, and because the deep ocean is a uniform, lightless, freezing void regardless of location, the shark almost certainly has no way of knowing where on Earth it actually is. It doesn't know it's in the Caribbean. It doesn't know it's in the Arctic. To this animal, the entire planet is simply one continuous, dark, cold corridor. It was alive when the Titanic sank somewhere above it, and it never knew. It was alive during the exact nuclear tests that left the carbon signature now used to date it, and it never knew. It has been continuously alive through the rise and collapse of entire empires, drifting the length of the planet in total darkness. And to this shark, the experience has likely felt like nothing more than one extraordinarily long, uneventful day.